Next question is Donnie Gibbs. Why did you do this?
Donnie's, it's a good question, Donnie. But I did this because I love history. I want to be real clear. I'm an amateur historian. I'm not a professional historian. So I wanted to tap into the history of who it is and where it is that I came from here in Kentucky in particular. And as a personal project for me, I'm not a craftsman. And one of the reasons I say that is because I don't have a lot of patience working with stuff. And so I typically want to get stuff done until, yeah, it'll work. Let's go. I can't do very well what you do, make beautiful handcrafted things. So what I wanted to do was do that here as best I could. And so I knew that I had the thing on the other end of the project is that if I didn't have patience with this one, then number one, I'd waste a lot of money, and I don't have a lot of money, so I can't waste money. And number two, if I don't do it right, it doesn't work right, and it blows up in my face. And so I wanted to take the time, use this project to teach me patience. And it did. It worked really well for that. And I've actually enjoyed I'm 51 years old, so I'm still learning a lot of things about life in general. But one thing that doing this did is it helped me learn some patience for sure.
I bet. We may have talked about this. I can't remember, but do you mind talking about the cost of the kit?
No, not at all. So the kits, there's all kinds of kits out there. I ended up getting this one from Jim Kibler Kits. I found Jim to be a very personable person, very likable person. He made videos on every step of the way. And the kit itself, the basic kit, is around $800 to $850. You pay for the locks separate, and that's about $200. And you can actually get some other things too. Like I got a smoothbore rifle, which is a shotgun and a rifle. And I think that was a little bit more. Matter of fact, I'm pretty sure that was a little bit more. And then what I also did was I got, as you can see, the coloration of the stock itself. We talked about this briefly earlier. This patterning I paid extra money for. So by the time it's all said and done, by the time I paid for everything, tax, shipping, because shipping something like this is not cheap, I got in that $1,200 to $1,300 range, I'm pretty sure. And that includes buying, what did not come with the kit is the stain and the sealer that you put on it for the wood. It did not come with the barrel brown. I bought all that separate, but all that is in that $1,200 to $1,300 range.
Were there cheaper kits out there?
There's cheaper kits out there. What I wanted something that was traditional. This is a great kit. This rifle came as is, but you can buy kits from like Traditions and places like that, and it's a lot cheaper. And man, if that's the way you want to get into a muzzleloading rifle, then by all means go ahead and do it. This has been a great rifle. I've killed a bunch of deer with this rifle. And I don't know how much it is, but I'm guessing that you could get a kit like that for $500. And now you got a muzzleloading rifle. And I really have no idea, and don't quote me on that. But with that said, cheaper, you can get them more expensive. You can pay $5,000 for these things if you want them. But some of those come with silver inlays, with a lot of artisan additions to it and stuff of that nature. So there's a range out there, like there is with everything, about what you might want or not want.
I saw one on the internet. I was kind of reading around a little bit. $22,000.
That was done, or the kit?
Done.
Yeah, who made it?
Yeah. I can't remember.
Yeah.
Now, but 22 grand.
Yeah, there's a lot of, it's like a lot of things, guys and gals. If you're looking into these things, if you want to buy one already made, you can buy a name. You can buy an artist. And if you buy, like for example, Herschel House. My dad has a Herschel House rifle. There's no telling how much that rifle's worth. It was just, I don't even know. But you can pay for that artisanship. And what you've also done is you've bought a rifle that Herschel built every tiny little piece on, even the screws. He hand forged the screws. And so, yeah, that should cost a lot more. Jim does that as well. He makes his own rifles, but this particular rifle and a lot of them that he sells, are machined, and so it saves him some money by doing that, but he's also got money in those machines to do that. So I love people that still do handcrafted stuff. I want to support them any way that I can. I don't want to lose that aspect to our history, so I love to promote that kind of stuff whenever I can.
Next question is Ernie Barnes. He was talking about smoothbore and rifling, and to discuss that a little bit. I think we touched upon it, but
Yeah, this one definitely is a smooth bore, which means I can throw gravel in there and shoot it. I think we discussed that earlier. And this was a less common long rifle than the typical rifle that you shot 45 caliber that shot out to 200 yards. This rifle is not going to be accurate out to but about 50 yards tops. But I don't shoot rifles that far for what I do. Turkey or deer, that's my primary use for this firearm. And so I'm going to be within 50 yards for both of those.
Clark Pelfrey says, why did you pick this specific style of rifle?
I wanted to tap into that Kentucky history for sure. Again, I do want to build a legit Kentucky long rifle someday with iron furniture on it rather than brass. That would be probably more accurate to the Kentucky long rifle. But this was my first step. This is my entry into it. I had such a good experience. The only thing stopping me from doing it right now is money. I mean, I'll make the time to do it again. So if I ever get to the point where I got enough money to throw down another $1,200 or $1,300 on a rifle that I might use once a year, you know, then I might do that.
It's always about the money, isn't it?
Yeah, it is for me.
TJ Johnson says, how many hours you got in it? Do you know?
That's a tough question, TJ, and that's a good question too. You know what? Here's how I went about doing it. Is I started on it and I would work on it about an hour a night, and I did that over about a month, working 4 or 5 nights a week. So that's why I'm guessing in that 20 to 30 hour range. I really don't know. I actually had a lot of trouble with the barrel, with filing the barrel, and I'd made a video for some of the alumni and talked about maybe 10 or 11 hours. I look back because I had videoed some of this, and I actually didn't have that much time in that part of it, maybe 3 or 4 hours tops. And you know, that was a lesson I had to learn the hard way on what I was doing wrong. So I mean, I truly believe that you could, if you wanted to dedicate 2 weekends, somebody like you, Tracy, that knows how to use tools better than I do, you could, if you dedicated a weekend for 2 weekends, you could probably get a rifle like this done. But for somebody like me that's new to crafting, it'll take a little bit longer.
Another question from TJ says, what resources did you find helpful when completing pieces and parts that you were unfamiliar with?
Another good question, TJ. So when you get this rifle, inside the box, when you get the kit, is a list of typed out instructions, no drawings or anything. I actually didn't use those at all, simply because Jim Kibler, who I got this kit from, has a series of videos step by step on how to do everything except antiquing it. I mean, he's done some things on how to make it look older, but he didn't have a video that I could find on browning the barrel, but everything else was step by step. So what I did is I have an old iPad, and I set it up on my workbench, and I would watch the video, and then I would just do what he did. Usually those videos.
So he would have a specific video, excuse me, of saying, putting all the assembly together, putting the butt plate on,
Exactly.
And you just follow those step by step.
And that worked good for me. Yeah, exactly. And that worked really well for me. Because I've never done that much work on a rifle like this, and so it was good to watch a master craftsman work his way through it. Because Jim does these kit guns on a CNC machine, right? But he builds rifles from start to finish as well, and so he's got a lot of insight. I mean, there were things like, and I've got this screwdriver that I made just for this screw, and so you know, stuff like that, and here's a little trick to make sure that butt plate pulls in the where you want it to, and a lot of stuff like that. And so it was just incredibly beneficial for me.
Always little tips and tricks.
Oh man, yeah, it was good.
How about Tiffany? Tiffany Conway, thank you. What are your intentions with the rifle? You going to hand it down, showpiece?
Definitely a rifle while I'm alive. I'm going to utilize as a hunting tool. I definitely intend on utilizing this firearm a lot. And
Is he going to replace that one?
yeah.
Okay.
I probably won't use that one anymore. I'll probably do most of my hunting with this thing now. And what I mean by that is that my goal is to utilize this for basically all the hunting that I want to do, that I like to do with a black powder firearm. But, you know, I may build another one to do some squirrel hunting with, but I could actually use this for squirrel hunting too with a shotgun. It's going to be too big at 58 caliber to be utilized as a squirrel rifle.
You wouldn't have any squirrel left.
No, dude, no, it would take a squirrel's body and destroy it. So, but it's definitely something I want to use. You know, my son, he doesn't really have much interest in muzzleloading. He's a modern firearms guy. He's really into modern firearms. So I don't know what I'll do with it, you know, when I'm done with it. My kids might want it. My daughter would probably love to have it. She loves history and stuff of that nature. So I may pass it on to her. Although she picked it up. She was the first one that held it besides me when I got it done. And she was like, I was sitting there, it's funny. I put it in her hands and I wanted her to shoot it so she could see the sparks. So we were in the garage in the dark and I was holding like this. And she went, "That's really not that heavy." And I said, "Hang on to it." And she went, "Whoa!" It was kind of funny. I don't think she would be the type to hunt with it because it's too heavy for her.
Well, if you need to find a home for it,
I understand.
Yeah.
With you. All right.
we can probably find a place.
Make a
for
deal?
it. Tiff also wants to know, do you plan on building another one?
Yeah, without a doubt. Yeah, I would love to. And again, the only thing stopping me from building another one is money. If something happens and I get on TV or something, make a lot of money or something, then I'll probably make. This has been a fun project, and I think it's incredibly. That's a lot of money to me. You know, $1,300 is a whole lot of money to me. I don't make a lot of money, but as much as I got out of this, I think it's well worth it. It's well worth it.
And then Tiff also wants to know what model you're going to do. I think you're going to do more of the Kentucky Mountain.
Kentucky Mountain. And that's what Jim calls them. You know, more of the Kentucky rifle that's got iron furniture on it. Yeah. Probably something in that 40 to 45 caliber range. A little bit smaller balls specifically for something like, you know, squirrel hunting or something of that nature.
So imagine once we get this video out, people watch it, a lot of these kits are going to be sold. So
yeah,
you're going to have all the information where they can go and order all the parts. You're going to link maybe your other videos that you put out?
Yeah, I've actually got about 2 or 3 other videos. I'll have to create a playlist on YouTube. It's got all the videos of me building the rifle. And then in the description of this video that you all are watching now with this interview, I'll have all the links to this rifle, everything that I utilize, even some of the materials or the tools that I bought that you got to have. You got to have a mill file. If you don't know what a mill file is, you have to have a mill file to do the barrel. If you don't have a mill file, it ain't gonna work. And so there's a couple of other tools, really good chisels and stuff. I'll link you to some ideas for you to be able to get what you need.
Okay, good deal. The first of the year, Tiffany's husband Chad and I sat down and we were talking about actually building one.
Yeah.
Not necessarily from a kit, but from just a blank stock.
Sure.
And going through all that. Life events came up, we didn't get to do it, but probably something that we are going to do. However, looking at this, I'll probably do a kit the first time.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, obviously I love this process. Mm-hmm. I think you could handle building a kit. I mean, building one without a kit. I think I would struggle with it, but man, I'm telling you what, for me, this was the perfect segue into building a rifle. Mm-hmm. It was a fun process. I learned a lot, and the stuff that's really difficult, that if you make a mistake on, you screw everything up, was already done for me. Yeah. And so that, for somebody like me, that worked out really well. And it might be you too. You want to own your own piece like this, and you don't want to run the risk of, you know, taking a chisel out to the front end of where the lock recedes, which boom, the whole stock's done, you can't use it anymore, then yeah, it's a good choice.
What would a stock like this cost, a blank stock?
For you?
Yeah, I mean,
Going out back and cutting one down, son. Nothing. Chainsaw
I
gas.
don't think about that.
I really don't know
Can
the
you get
answer.
one for $200 or $300 probably?
I would say so. I really don't know.
Don't know, okay.
I don't know. You know, it's dependent upon who did it and how they did it. If somebody has to draw knife it down and sand it down to even a workable gun stock, usually the way you'll buy them, they'll usually go ahead and do the barrel channel for you. And because you've got to do that, the timing of it's got to be perfect, or you've got a barrel that does this. Our barrel channel that, you know, the stock, you can imagine how long this is, and it's warped and you can't use it. Mm-hmm. And so they'll usually cut that barrel channel for you. And but I really don't know the answer to that question.
Yeah. Well, I could see myself making a mistake and having to start over, so
Yeah.
definitely see that. Turned out beautiful.
Thanks, dude.
Great.
Means a lot coming from you. I'm glad you like it.
Inspired me to go on and pull the trigger, so to speak,
Yeah.
and get started one this year and build one. So like I said, I've never actually ever fired one, so.
Dude, me and you and Chad, throw some lead down range on the firearm, we'd be something.
I just want all that smoke.
Boone, Kenton, and Lewis Wetzel all together there. You just want to throw the smoke
Yeah,
out
I just
there.
want the smoke.
You can be that Hawkeye on Last Mohicans. Wham!
All right, anything else you want to add? Did we cover everything?
I think so, my friend.
Put a lot of
I think
information
that's
out there
it.
for people that's interested in getting started.
Yep, and look in the description. All that'll be there for you if you're interested. And shoot me an email. My email is going to be in the description as well. And that way you can, if you're interested. Hey, there's a lot of education here. Again, just keep in mind I'm an amateur historian, so is Tracy. So some of the things that we said are worthy of your time to invest into the research of it. And I wouldn't say anything purposely that I thought was wrong. So I've tried to inform you as best I can. But it's worthy to get into the history of it. It's, for those that forget their history, we're doomed to repeat it. So I like being tied into our history as best we can.
I learned a lot just researching just for this video and stuff.
Yeah, good.
It's very interesting. Now you're going to do a blog piece on this, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And where can they find the blog?
NatureAlliance.org. We'll have a blog about the history. I'll try to write something up on the history, as well as we'll attach that video in there too. Okay. And that way everybody's got it, and we'll try to spread this out there. I love sharing history with people.
Sure.
Yeah, it's not one of the things that I'm doing for my own personal benefit. I just love sharing history. I want all of us to know our history.
I know where we come from. While you're at the website, be sure and check out our podcast right in there with the blogs.
Yeah, if you look in the
podcasts
blogs,
out there.
Usually we have podcast number so-and-so. So check out Nature Alliance Media. Tracy hasn't been on camera with me in a long time, so get on Nature Alliance Media. Podcast, Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, all the things that go along with it. You'll hear Tracy's wonderful voice and mine. One of the things that does really well there is Lost and Found.
Yeah,
Tracy does.
We need to tell some stories of people who actually got lost and what they did wrong, what they did right, and hopefully the listeners can follow it and not make those same mistakes.
Yeah, our goal, everybody, is to get you outside, us outside, and go out and do it safely, so you can go back and do it again and again. So Lost and Found is a good way of learning that stuff.
Good deal.
Is that it?
That's it.
Come on, join in.
Let's learn together.